Hello, Sabre Legion. Aaron Riley here. I've been touting for a while the Indian Club's ideas, but a lot of you don't know what they are. So I'm going to start a series. It's partly for me, partly for those that are interested. Apologize about the pants. Just want to make sure they're all pulled up. So this series is for those that are interested in what Indian Clubs are, maybe about learning a little bit more. The real goal of Indian Clubs is to increase your movement, flexibility, and strength of everything in your shoulder girdle, basically from the center of your core on out. We'll be adding exercises later that exercise things down as well, but I'm going to give you some basics. First, I want to show you an Indian Club. This is an Indian Club. They look a lot like a juggling pin or a bowling pin. The idea is you hold the club on this end with the weight on the outside, maximizing leverage and torque. So while this one in particular weighs 2 pounds, when you're holding it like this, the weight near the end is actually greater than 2 pounds because of the torque that's added by the weight being on the end. So that's sort of how the implement or the tool works. It's all about having the weight displaced further from the handle. I highly recommend if you're starting, start with something light. If you're going to get Indian Clubs, start with the 1 pounder. There's a lot of places where you can get a set of both 1 and 2 pounders. That's a great way to go. Because the exercises that we're doing are not strength-based in nature, we're not necessarily here to bulk up and make your muscles big. We're here to improve movement and flexibility, speed, timing, that kind of information, coordination. Lighter clubs are all we need for the exercises that I'll be making in these videos. So, if you don't have Indian Clubs, here's a great thing for most of us. Most of us have lightsaber hilts. Getting a small blade, if you have an old blade that's broken, cut it up into bits. You want this to be in the ballpark of 20 to 24 inches, and you want to be enough room that you can hold this in your hand and have the majority of the weight near the end. It functions very much like your standard Indian Club, but is going to allow you to use your lightsabers so that you don't need to buy a new tool to do this. All you need is a short blade. For most saber hilts, an 8-inch blade is good. If you've got a shorter hilt, then something like a 10 or a 12-inch blade might be needed. Like I said, you don't want to go any further than about 24 inches. They just don't need to be longer than that for these exercises. 20 inches is great as well. So that's just to give you an idea of another great way to have a tool. In these exercises, I am going to go ahead and use my Indian Clubs, but I wanted to show you another great option. Okay, first things first, I want to show you the grip. For a lot of flow exercises and things that look pretty, you're going to see people grab things like this. I just refer to it as a ring grip, where you make a ring around this. When you make a ring around the grip, it does make it much easier to manipulate these, spinning them, because you can do it all from the wrist. However, none of the rest of our core, our shoulder girdle, our elbows, shoulders, none of this is gaining the benefit. For the exercises that we're going to do, we're going to be teaching you how to do this with a, if you will, rather than a flash grip, a functional grip. So in this, what we want is we want our pinky near the ball. You actually want to be gripping the ball. You'll notice that I'm not off of the end, but I'm also not up in here. I'm actually gripping the ball. The real strength of the grip you're working on is the strength between your pinky and the pad of your thumb. It's not even so much the thumb itself gripping down, but the action of squeezing between the pinky and the pad of the thumb. That's actually where the grip strength is. You'll notice how the ball fits right in that section. That's what we're working on, is that portion of the strength. So you want to be holding it like this. These finger and thumb don't actually do a whole lot. You want to go ahead and leave them engaged. You don't want them sticking out. But just like in our Shicho grip, you're not doing a lot with this. All your grip is between your pinky and this part of your thumb. That's really what you're working on, is that portion of the grip. So you want to be holding it on the thicker part of the ball. This is the grip we're going to be using throughout our exercises. So we're going to start out real basic, and I'm going to keep this to 1 exercise per video. This first video is a little longer because I wanted to give you an introduction to what a club is and the grip that we're going to be using. So the first exercise we're going to be doing it, I just refer to them as strokes, whether we're doing front strokes or back strokes. The idea, it's like you're swimming. We're going to start with just a single club so that you don't have to think about too much. Our first exercise, your feet are held in center stance. Remember, when we're in center stance, knees are bent, hips are underneath you. Really pull that tailbone underneath you. Actually visually think of squeezing like you're holding onto something with your butt cheek so that you're nice and stable. With your other hand, you want to keep your other hand up. This is kind of martial training, so we want to be aware of what this other hand's doing. Doesn't really matter if it's near your shoulder or up near your head or down here like a Chinese block. Just be aware. We don't want any of this dead fish kind of stuff going on. Be aware of what you're doing with this other hand. So just like our strokes, the idea is your arm essentially will be straight. So we're going to start with it down. Notice I have flexed my hand so that it's almost like I'm pointing with my finger here. And we're going to do the backstroke first. So you raise this up, palm in. When this reaches the top, you'll notice I turn my hand, palm out. Allow my body to turn, look over my shoulder. Allow this to come down. As this passes my leg, I'm going to turn it again so that the palm faces backwards. Palm. So you'll notice the rotation of the hand. I apologize about that. It should be palm up, rotate palm out. Starting palm up, rotate palm out. And you want to be engaging. Notice how I'm using the core of my body and I'm twisting, engaging, twisting. Each of these, when you start practicing these on your own, 15 is about the minimum rotations you want to do, but you really don't need to do more than 25 or 30. Doing 100 of these will build endurance, but the actual benefit of the stretching and the mobility, the strengthening of the tendons, all you're doing is gaining endurance. You're not increasing the movement or anything by doing that many. When you do a whole lot of something, like if you do really heavy weights or you do a whole lot of repetitions, you're actually damaging and breaking down the tissue, and by your body healing it is what makes your muscles grow and get bigger. And that isn't the goal of this. The goal of this is more like stretching or physical therapy. Think of it like keeping yourself healthy. If you don't have injuries, think of this like preventative maintenance. This is so that you don't get stiff in your joints. So we're going to do the same exercise. Other hand, again, grip down here, hand up where you're doing it, knees bent, hips underneath you. Palm up. As this comes up, you're going to rotate that palm out. Comes palm up, rotate out. Palm up, rotate out. Palm up, rotate out. I'm going to do the same thing from the side so you can see what's going on here. Knees bent, hip underneath me. I don't want that sticking out. I want that underneath me here. Hand somewhere where you're paying attention to what you're doing. There's the right answer. Palm up, rotate out. Palm up, rotate out. Palm up, rotate out. Palm up, rotate out. Good. Other side, same thing, so you can see what's going on. Palm up, rotate out. Palm up, rotate out. Palm up, rotate out. Palm up, rotate out. Now remember, I told you there's really no need to do more than 25 or 30, but you should really shoot for 15. These are just example videos to get you started. Now, while there's a backwards, there should always be a forward. So I'm going to stay sideways, and we're going to do the same thing. So this time as we turn, palm up in the back, allow this palm to stay like it's facing the ground. As it passes your knee, rotate so that it's up, down. So this would be like the forward stroke or the breast stroke. There really are no right or wrong names for these. Call them whatever you want. I just refer to this particular large circular linear motion next to you as the strokes, forward and backward stroke. I'm going to switch sides, other hand. Good. Now I want to give you some variations. If you start practicing these, it starts getting really easy. Part of what we're doing is building coordination and as well as dynamic tension. We want both the sides of our bodies ultimately doing something. So I'm going to grab my other club. Remember, same grip. And we're going to start doing the follow. So doing the follow, you're going to start with one up and one down. The mechanics of your shoulders in the linear motion, is you can't really make both shoulders go backwards at the same time. So you want to always be 180 degrees apart from one another so we can still keep that torso twisting that we were talking about. So you want your clubs to be 180 degrees from one another. So I'm going to start with the forward stroke. So we start with one hand up, one hand back. So remember, this hand is coming palm down, this hand will turn and be palm up. As this hits the bottom, this turns so that it can be palm up. See, just like you're swimming. Just like you're swimming. Knees bent, hips underneath you, just like you're swimming. And where you have forward, you should also have backwards. So again, remember, for the backwards one, it raises palm up and rotates. Rotates at the top so that the palm goes down on its way down. Good. I'm going to do both of those to the front just so you guys can see. Again, remember, knees bent, hips underneath you. We're going to start with our front stroke. And we'll do our backstroke. Now I'm doing these at a very slow pace so that you can see what's going on. There really is no need to go much faster than this when you're learning. When you get the form, the technique, the exercise, whatever you want to call it, when you get this down, by speeding it up, you increase the resistance of the Indian club. By going faster, the centrifugal force is greater, so that will make the club seem heavier. So there really is no need to get a heavier club. As your skill gets better, you can increase your speed. Make sure you have good form when you increase your speed, otherwise you have the potential to hurt yourself. So go slow until you're confident. Then from there you can do it faster, and it's like you're having a heavier weight, thanks to physics. Good. Next one, this is still the strokes, but it's a different variation. We're going to do alternating. So we'll have one going forward while one goes backwards. So you notice this one, both palms up, one in front, one in back. When I reach the top, I allow myself to turn, both palms are down. As it reaches the bottom, both my hands turn, so they'll go palm up. As I reach the top, I rotate my body, both hands palm down. Turn, both hands palm up. Turn, both hands palm down. Turn, both hands palm up. Turn, both hands palm down. Do the same exercise this side. Knees bent, hips underneath you. Here, both hands palm up. Turn, both hands palm down. Palm up. Palm down. Palm up. Palm down. Palms up. Palms down. Now you should always make sure you're being symmetrical, so go the other direction as well. So that both hands lift in the front and in the back. And again, you want to do each of these exercises, he said, between 15 and no more than 30. 15 to 25 is really a good target number. Really no more than 30. Good. One more variation I'm going to give you on the strokes, and we'll call that a video for today. This variation, we're actually going to be making our strokes rather than linear to the sides. We're going to make our strokes so that they go forward and back behind us. This is really advanced. If you don't get it, that's fine. I just want you to kind of see ultimately where this goes. So our clubs are going to be going in opposite directions. So the first, learn the last exercise we did till you're comfortable going in opposite directions. And now we're going to rotate and turn so that I'm looking to my left as they raise. When they reach the top, I turn my body so that I'm looking forward. When they reach the body, I turn my body so I'm looking left or right. Turn, look forward. Turn, look left. Look forward. Right. So every time the sabers or the clubs are at the top, you should be looking to the front. Every time the clubs hit the bottom, you should be turning to the other side. So at the bottom I turn, the top I turn. The bottom I turn, the top I turn. And of course, go the other direction. Now this way, you'll notice at the top, I'm turning, and at the bottom I face forward because I'm going the other direction. You'll get a feel for which way is which, but you want to practice both ways so that you're working your muscles and your joints in every possible direction. That's my first intro video to Indian clubs, and as I said, that's the most basic of them. It's just called the stroke. We'll move on to some other exercises in my next video. Thank you.